Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, A Little Geek, A Little Chic. I'm Diamond if you're new here, and I do books, lifestyle, and vlog content on my channel, my little room here on BookTube. If you like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we're going to get into it right now. Grab yourself your beverage of choice, and let's talk about some of my books that I'm most excited to read, or that I would like to read in 2025. This is my top 25 reads that I want to read in 2025. So thank you for clicking on that. And let's get into the pre-orders. I have them listed over here, so if I glance over at the page, that is why. But we're going to start it off with number one that needs no introduction, and that is First Time Caller. First Time Caller is written by B.K. Borson. She wrote the Love Light Farm series, which we all know and love here on Book Talk, BookTube, Instagram. She is great. I love those books. I eat them up. They are fantastic. The characters make me melt, and I just really want them all to be happy. So this one, I am not sure the premise of this one. I don't know very much. I'm kind of leaving myself blind going into it. All I knew is she has a new book out called First Time Caller, and it comes out on February 11th. Did I already check and see how many my bookstore is getting in? I checked, and they're only getting 6 copies, you guys. That's right. 6. So, am I going to be there at 10 a.m. when the doors open to get one of the 6 copies? I sure am. And I'll be picking up another one of my books when I go there. One that is coming in that is the continuation to a series that I'm waiting for that also releases that day. So it'll be all right. I'll have a reason to go there already. So it's not just for this book, but it's also just for this book. Second book that's coming out is from the Queen, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it is called Atmosphere. This book is centered around space travel and astronauts, I believe, or female astronaut, and I am here for it. This is a change up from her Hollywood series that came out previously that included Daisy Jones and the Sixth, Malibu Rising, Carrie Soto is back. So those were great. Loved them all. And now we are on to this Atmosphere, which might be a standalone, or it might be another like related novel set that's not actually a series. Next up on the list, number 3 is Great Big Beautiful Life. Now that is by Emily Henry. So we like Emily Henry around here. She's an autobi author. Picking that up. All I know, I think, is it's set back again around authors or book people, and count me in. The fourth one I have is Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware brings out a book almost every summer, and almost every year Kim from Bookshelf Buddy and I usually buddy read it. So I think I'm going to propose that one to her again. Kim, I know you're watching. So Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware, and it is Woman in Suite 11A. I'm pretty sure that's it. It'll be up here. That comes out this year, and that is also on my top 25 to read in 2025 list. I love all her stuff. One Perfect Couple was fantastic. If you like reality TV, that book, if you like any like thrillers, like the mystery whodunit, multiple POV, loved that book. So excited. Another friend of mine's reading it right now, and she also loves it. The final one that is on the pre-order list, but not physically in hand, is by the King Frederick Bachman, and he's coming out with a new book called My Friends. That's all I needed to know. He's an auto-buy. He's on the list, and I'm very excited for it. Now, let's get into the books that I own that are on my 25 that I want to read in 2025. They are not all new releases. Some of these have been on my shelf for a while, and I have not gotten to them. So they're going on the TBR cart, and they will be attacked this year. And we're going to start with pile number 1, which consists of Mr. Riley Sager. I did not get to middle of the night. Oh, my microphone's sticking out. There we go. I did not get to middle of the night last summer as I had wanted to, so this is on the list for 2025. It's one of my top 25 books. He in a tent with his best friend as a kid, and his best friend goes missing, and then nobody knows what happened. Kid never comes back. cue him as an adult comes back to town and people still are wondering what happened. And then I think things come up, or maybe his friend comes back, or is there like clues that come up? I'm not sure, but I'm there to read that. So that's going on the cart for sure. This one is a cozy mystery that I got about a writer who is writing a book that involves characters set after real life characters in her own life, and they start to die off. I think this one, Books and Lala, that channel, I believe if you've seen her, she rated this one like a 5-star. And I am here for a cozy mystery book that gets that kind of acclaim. So this one is definitely on the list for 2025. It is going in the TBR card. Next up needs no introduction. It is Miss Finley Donovan. She's rolling the dice. They're headed to not Vegas, the other one. Atlantic City. There we go. I'm not American, sorry guys. I knew it wasn't Vegas. I knew, but it was the gambling capital, but not Vegas. So they're heading to Atlantic City, I believe. I can't really say too much else because it'll spoil a bunch of stuff from the previous books. But if you haven't read these, please, and you're into cozy mysteries of any kind, read this. The characters are great. They're hilarious. They just make me want to pick up the next book because they're so freaking funny and also very relatable outside of their like misdealings, obviously, but like personality wise, there's someone in there everyone can relate to. Next up is this book. Got so many reviews and acclaim last year, and I did not get to it, and that's The Ministry of Time. I believe it's some kind of a romance that also is like sci-fi time bending-esque, and that's all I need to know. Sounds completely different and interesting, and I'm not even sure if the romance is the main part or if the sci-fi and like the time continuum is, but here for that one. Next up is Bookends and Bone Dust. I read Legends and Lattes a year ago, and I absolutely adored that book, and I cannot wait to start this one. This one, I believe, is a prequel to the orc that opening up her own coffee shop. This is, I think, before when she was still an orc and fighting and such, so I'm going to read that one for sure. It's probably going to get read soon, because in the winter I like more fantasy-esque kind of vibes. Get me out of the winter glum. Next up, we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. If you guys can hear a crackling noise, the dog is playing with a toy in here because she was harassing the little brother that's doing the contracting work downstairs, so I had to put her in here with me. So this is going to get fun. But Under the Whispering Door is like a tea house, I believe, or a coffee shop where people come, and it's like the stage area between life and death, where you're kind of like in the limbo era, and you can see stuff from your past, maybe. So, I don't know. It's TJ Klune. I love his writing. I will read it. Hoping to catch up on some backlist stuff that I have this year. The next book up is a book that nobody probably outside of me and a few maybe of you will know what this is. It is an essay-esque analytic collection by Chuck Klosterman. He analyzes society and current society and where we're at based on how we were raised, what things are normal, etc. I am a sociology major, so this is like a deep delve. Like, things into society really get me, and I just love them. So anytime he writes a book, I'm going to read it. So this one's called The 90s, and it's like how things like, where is it here? Long ago, but not as long as it seems, the Berlin Wall fell and the Twin Towers collapsed. In between, one president election was allegedly decided by Ross Perot, while another was plausibly decided by Ralph Nader. At the beginning, almost every name and address was listed in the phone book, and everyone answered their landlines because you didn't know who it was. That right there starts to just... And I'm hooked. I also had a phone kind of like that, so... Nostalgia vibes. For everyone watching that's younger, and you're like, what is a landline? Go ask your parents. There's another book on here that I started reading. I'm done part 1, but it is on the list for this year, and it's getting read, and I'm going to read it with my friend Kim over at Bookshelf Bunny, and I'm going to start part 2 right away because I've had enough of it sitting around. And I'm going to tackle this giant behemoth that is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. This is a time continuum, time warp, time travel, kind of a sci-fi-esque novel by Stephen King. It's not really a horror, and it's about going back in time and like trying to prevent the JFK assassination, I believe. So, giant book. gonna read it. The first part of the book, part 1, was a little bit like, woo, it was a dump. And I'm like, this is a mental brain exercise. So we're gonna continue it. We're gonna plug at it. We're gonna read it because I've heard that it gets better as the parts progress. So the first one is a lot, but then it gets better. So I'm hoping that's correct. Let me grab the other stack. Next up is Coco Millar. She has written Blue Sisters. This is about a group of sisters. I believe they come back together. They may be slightly estranged, and they come back together to kind of heal after one of their sisters has died, I believe is the premise. That's about all I know about this. I like the family aspects in books and like reclaiming relationships that may be shattered and or fragmented, and I'm here to read this one. Next up is a comedy book type funny book that is also a fantasy-esque kind of a book. And this I've heard really good things about. My friend over at Kim at Bookshelf Bunny also has this book, so we might end up buddy reading this. But this is Django Wexler. I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't think it's Django. I think the D is silent. So Django Wexler, How to Become a Dark Lord and Die Trying. So this individual has tried to defeat the Dark Lord and be a good person and a hero multiple times. Every time they die, and then it's like Groundhog Day, they come back. So like, forget it. If I can't be the good guy, I'm just going to be the bad guy then. So they then take on the task of becoming the evil Dark Lord. So this sounds funny. I'm down to read that. I love a fantasy, especially when it doesn't take itself too seriously. And speaking of love a fantasy that doesn't take itself too seriously, I have another cozy fantasy on the list. So that's 2 cozy fantasies and a funny fantasy. And that is You Can't Spell Treason Without T. This one I wanted to read last year and I did not get to it, so it has gone on this book list. I think we've heard a ton about it on BookTube by now, and that is these two, I believe it's a same-sex couple. These 2 ladies, they open a tea shop / bookstore, I think. And one of them used to work for the queen or whoever was in power, and they kind of like went AWOL. So they might be hunted, and we'll see how that goes. We have a book by a almost auto-by author at this point. Matt Haig. Matt Haig, The Life Impossible. This is about a lady whose friend lives on a remote island alone by herself, and she has died or passed away or gone missing, and her friend has inherited this island, so I believe she like up and leaves everything to go see what the draw was this island and why her friend basically went off the grid. And I'm here to, and then she might find some things along the way. So I'm not sure if it's one of his enlightening life type books or if it's like more of a weird, eerie kind of vibe. I guess I'll find out when I read it. Then I have the Queen herself, the last book I have to read in the set. Carrie Soto is back. This is getting read because it's sitting on my shelf, and why is it sitting on my shelf? I don't know. Of course I want to read it. I want to read it, tie them all together, see what happened with Carrie Soto. She was a tennis star, then she wasn't, and now she's trying to make a comeback, and I want to know her backstory because it's kind of touched on in Malibu Rising, and she's not a very liked character in that book, but it's obviously from the perspective of someone who was done wrong by someone who was entangled with Miss Soto. And since her other book is coming out this year and it's on our list, time to finish this set. Then I have a book that I am super excited for. I love figure skating. I like watching it, especially the Olympics and the Worlds, and I just love it, especially the pairs and the dancing, and it's fantastic. I did figure skate when I was a child. I sucked at it. So, full disclosure, I was not good, nor did I care to continue because I did not have the grace, I don't think, for figure skating. But this one is by Lane Fargo, and this was actually a Book of the Month pick this past month. But I found the paperback copy, which I'm so excited about. I don't love a hardback. It's kind of the thing that's kept me from going to Book of the Month yet in Canada is it's hardbacks. But if you get that paperback box come out, heck yeah, like, reach out. Let's go. I don't know. I might still do Book of the Month even if it's hardcover. But this is about two kids, basically, when they meet up, and they both like skating, so they become each other's partners in figure skating, and they work with each other through the years, and they become the Olympic champion favorites to all these competitions. But then something happens and they break up their group. And they kind of just disappear into the night. Nobody hears anything, nobody knows anything. But until this documentary series starts to come around, and it kind of gives me like the Daisy Jones and the Six vibes. And they're going to like share stuff from the people that worked with them and know them and basically give their story. Well, these guys don't want that. They want to give their story first. So they have now come out of the hiding, and we'll see what happens there. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. I'm ready to read it right now because it's figure skating and it's winter, so bring it on. And now the last stack. I think we have 5 books left. So far we're at 20. Let's get to the last 5. I am realizing that I have 2 books in these piles from a few authors. We have Taylor Jenkins Reid has 2 books in here. I have 2 books from Frederick Bachman in here, so let's start with that. I told you about the one that's coming out this year that I want to read. I also want to finish the trilogy, the Beartown trilogy with The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is the 3rd book. I'm on the 3rd book. It is a gigantic book, a behemoth of a book, if you must. It is a large, chunky monkey. This book is, 674 pages. So I got that going for me, to quote Bill Murray in Caddyshack. If you watched it, if you haven't, it's fantastic. So I will read this one, finish the series of the Beartown series, and then I will anticipate the release of the new book he is set to release this year, and I am all here for some Frederick Bachman this year. It's just a really big book. I have a lot of big books on my TBR this year, so I'm hoping I don't get scared, because big books scare me, you guys. I'm also going to add a couple of big fantasy books to my TBR cart, so that's also scary. The next author I have 2 books from as well. First, his name needs no introduction around here, and it's Mr. Grady Hendrix. Mr. Grady Hendrix has come out with the Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I'm 100% here for Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. It's kind of about a wayward academy for women who may have the art of witchcraft, I believe, and that's all I need to know. Grady Hendrix could write the ingredients from multiple cereal boxes on a cue card, and I would read it and probably review it very highly. I am here for this, and I'm very excited for what this entails. Plus, his covers are always brilliant. Love the lava lamp. And then his other one just sounds hilarious, and that is Bad Astronauts. If you saw my book haul, it's going up after this one, so you'll see it after this one. A lot of these are in there, and I give you a little bit more of a description of this, but this one sounds hilarious. It's a rogue astrophysicist slash space travel guys trying to save one of their own, and I'm here for this. It's also like a novella. So it's, whoops. Poor book. It's also a novella, so it's about 160 pages, it says. So I'm also down for adding a smaller book to my TBR, and anything by Grady Hendrix I'll read. It's not a horror, though. It is a sci-fi, and that is very strange, because Grady Hendrix only writes horror, and apparently one sci-fi. So we'll see if it's as good as his other ones. I'm sure I'll like it. We are down to our last 2 books. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I want to get into fantasy. I've heard amazing things about Brandon Sanderson. I finally found a copy that is a regular size to read, because all I could get was the damn paperback. Mass paperback. It's like this freaking big and like this wide and this tall. It was so tiny to read. So I've tried to get into it, and it just pains me to read. The font is so small, and you can't get into the margin to read it all, and it's just really pisses me off, to say the least. I found this one, so now I will read it, and he's going on the list, and I hope I like it. I've been told by many people that this is the series to start with when you read Brandon Sanderson. I am currently reading one of his surprise books, The Frugal Wizard's Guide for Surviving Medieval England, and I am enjoying it quite a lot. Sorry, the dog is whining because she wants to go see what's happening downstairs. Jenny, just a minute. Okay, last book on the list. I know, Bean, I am tired too. It'll just be a second. So, we have a book that is much acclaimed on BookTube. I have it here in my library. I have yet to read it, but I'm going to be reading it because it is the February pick for my In Real Life book club, and that is The Toxic Relationship in Magnolia Parks. I've heard a lot about Magnolia Parks. I've heard it's kind of like a Gossip Girl-esque vibe. I do like that it has multiple fonts, so you'll get a multiple mixed media. Sorry, not fonts. So you'll get regular text, and then you'll get some text messages. And I'm sure that'll speed up the read a little bit. So I'm here for this, and I'm going to read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings this year as part of my 25 books to read in 2025. Woo! That was some books. Thank you guys for watching. If you stuck it out till the end, leave me a stack of books emoji down in the bottom. And I will see you guys soon with a new video. I'm going to get through these, get these loaded on the cart. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe.
We were riding through the woods with our bikes. We got scared when it got darker at night, 'cause everyone was missing safety lights. So we tried to use a flashlight.